Traditional cultural norms and myths crafted by some chauvinists to perpetrate gender segregation have over the years denied the girl child the right to further education. The segregative tradition was used especially during hard times when the girl child was sacrificed either by being sold or forced to marry someone to raise cash, or they would be forced to drop out of school in preference to a boy despite his poor performance at school. In their fight for emancipation, the woman has over the years taken every opportunity to prove that wisdom, intelligence, or leadership cannot be judged on the basis of gender, because the difference between a man and woman has proved to be only biological. Given the opportunity, some women have proved to be better enterprising than their male counterparts. Hence, in leadership, there are notable figures like Zimbabwe's heroine Mbuyane Handa, who was one of the leaders of the first liberation struggle, Chimurenga. The second Chimurenga also saw the emergence of women leaders like Joyce Taurairo Pamujuru, Opam Chinguri, and Freedom Nyambuya, who rose to become commanders of thousands of female and male combatants. However, with the attainment of independence, it was back to square one for most of the female combatants and the majority of the women who could not advance themselves academically, as they had to wage another war of recognition in a male-dominated economic environment. In light of the plight of the woman, and knowing very well that by educating a woman, one would be educating and empowering a nation, two Zimbabwean women who managed to break all barriers to reach the highest echelons of learning, Professor Hope Cynthia Sadza and Dr. Fei Chung, felt their achievements would not be enough without creating a platform for fellow women to empower themselves as well. That is why the two academics founded the Women's University in Africa.
What inspired me was the number of women who were walking the streets with no qualifications and without any hope of getting any qualifications. And I kept on thinking about, we've got a lost tribe here. If we are now just going to look at them and say there's no school, somebody has to provide that school. And that somebody has to be me to say, I have the wherewithal, I've been capacitated to get an education, and I can also cascade it down to these women. It was really the problem of looking at these women selling tomatoes on the streets and not making enough money, and they are not going to come out of this problem of poverty, a rich woman. But when we started, we had 147 students. We have over 3,400 students, and in another year we want to come up to 4,500 students. We can afford it. The women are coming in droves saying, please, are you going to leave us alone? We have seen Eunice, she's made it good. We have seen Cynthia, she's made it good. Garika is coming up. So there is no way that I can be sitting around and not getting an education.
I think that women will become more able to play a stronger role politically. You know, at the moment you find that in the political system, women are still not empowered enough to ensure that even their own interests are properly represented. Not to say the growing interests and development needs of the country as a whole. So I think we'd like to play a more important role in the growth and greater empowerment of women politically, economically, and socially.
One of the key Millennium Development Goals focuses on women and equal opportunities in education for women. This is one of the key reasons why Women's University in Africa exists. So this is beyond a local or regional calling, but actually an international calling to make sure that we avail opportunities for women to come into education. So where we are as a council, we are rejoicing in the progress that Women's University in Africa has made, but we could have done a lot more. We started off renting from offices to lecture rooms, and where we are today shows tremendous growth over a very short span of time, with us having managed to buy our own head office in Harare and also trying and bought land in Marondera, to try and come up with our university. We've got a farm which is ongoing in Marondera to try and ensure that we can provide for ourselves and provide adequate resources to construct a university at that farm. In 2013, we registered a key success in acquiring the former Marondera Hotel, and so one can easily see the progress that the Women's University has made, not only from a number of students, but also from an infrastructure development perspective. Where we are now is a critical moment where we want the Women's University brick and mortar to be in place in terms of the actual construction of the university itself. This is where we're calling upon resources and partnerships with like-minded organizations or individuals from our society locally, regionally, continentally, internationally, to partner with us to ensure that we can construct the various faculties that are required for a university.
Pro Vice-Chancellor of the university, Professor Charles Muchemwanerera, says even though the university will eventually move to Marondera, at least 40% of the education activities will remain in Harare, where the bulk of their students are based, to alleviate travel and accommodation challenges. The majority of the students are entrepreneurs and civil servants based in Harare who take up lessons after hours and during weekends. Therefore, retaining part of the university in the capital city would be very philanthropic to most of the people with limited resources to travel to and from Marondera.
The 85% women and 15% men is our policy, and this is what the founders of the university, Professor Opsadza and Dr. Fei Chung, agreed from the beginning and set out as our mandate that we must produce more women in that ratio. However, over the years, when you look back at our enrollments over the last 12 years, we failed to get enough women to comprise 85%. We are not over-enrolling men, but we are under-enrolling women because there are major factors that influence how people come to university. Financing is one of them, and for finances, there isn't much we can do. We've tried to do scholarships where various organizations have been approached, and some have come to assist us to sponsor women to come to university, and it is helping us. We have managed to run around 25% men and 75% women, which is still very commendable, but our target is 85%. But over the last 12 years, the only year when there was 85%, 15% ratio was 2002 when we started. After that, it settled to its natural set of patterns in the population. Another way we are trying to increase our enrollment of women is by being very flexible with our programs. You see, most of the women we take are mature women, and time is very difficult because they have many conflicting demands. To balance that with university education is very difficult. So what we have tried to do and continue to try to do is to make a very flexible timetable where some women and the minority male students can come during the day, can come at night during the evening up to 7:30, can come over the weekends to avoid the work commitments, and for teachers can come during the holidays. So by making the timetable flexible, we are also trying to increase the enrollment of women. Other strategies include marketing, where we approach women organizations and try to encourage them to sponsor women to come and encourage women to come to university.
The Strategic Business Development and Marketing Department promotes the university's brand within and outside the country. The products of the university have become the testimony and driver of the growth of the university.
Our strategic plan runs from 2012 to 2015. Our key result area in my portfolio is resource mobilization. And some of the key functions in that plan is to ensure the infrastructure development of the university. And we require resources to then ensure that we have infrastructure at our main campus in Marondera, which is 85 kilometers from Harare. And we ensure that we then mobilize those resources either through the donor community, grant writing, and also approaching the business community, both local and international. and also to mobilize more students to enroll, because we are women's university in Africa from Cape to Cairo. So we are ensuring that we penetrate all the countries in Africa. We have done that in Zambia, Malawi and Namibia, and we want to ensure that maybe by 2015 we are halfway into Africa. If you are going to look at our master plan for the university, that's where the main campus is supposed to be. For our campus in Marondera, if we put the infrastructure, it means one, we can increase our faculties. Currently we have 3 faculties. We can increase, according to the plan, we are supposed to have 8 faculties by 2015, but we can't do that on rented properties. So it is key that we move to our campus in Marondera. And in terms of the charter, which is granted by the Parliament of Zimbabwe, it is actually stated in that charter that our university is supposed to be in Marondera. And it means we need to be compliant in terms of the statute that we are in Marondera, and we need to put lecture rooms, laboratories, the equipment into the laboratories for us to be able to teach. And our core faculty is the Faculty of Agriculture, which is then supported by the farm where the university is supposed to be constructed. And it means we need to put then infrastructure for the Faculty of Agriculture to move to Marondera. And it will mean that there are lecture blocks, the accommodation aspect for the students, and also the laboratories for the Faculty of Agriculture to be effective in their teaching modes.
Programs and degrees offered at the university are tailor-made for both school leaver and those already at work with a desire to advance themselves. The Registrar Bertha Mogwise says their objective is to train, retain and promote human resources. She says their doors are always open for those who have an appetite for educational advancement.
The major goal of the Registrar's Department is to ensure the smooth and professional running of the general administration of the university through practicing good corporate governance. All along, the university has been operating without fully fledged faculties, but we now have 2 faculties in the university, and the third one is still surrogated in one of the faculties. We have held 9 graduations so far, and this year we will be witnessing the 10th graduation of the university. In terms of enrollment, we have also increased our enrollment. We are at 3,400 students this year, and our target is to reach 4,500 students by 2015. We applied for 6 new programs, and out of the 6, 5 programs have been approved by Zimche. And we have 4 programs which are starting this year. These include bachelor's degree in accounting science. We have BSc honors in purchasing and supply management, BSc honors in HR management, as well as BSc in community development.
The Faculty of Social Sciences and Gender Development Studies is uniquely positioned to offer quality programs to women across Africa and beyond. Using various teaching and learning modes, we offer conventional and open and distance learning programs so that women can study well in the comfort of their homes. Currently, we have got students who are studying using open and distance learning in Zambia and Malawi, and also in our satellite campus in Bulawayo. The focus of our faculty is mainly on social issues. We look at various issues like gender, social work, education, child-sensitive social policies, development studies, among others. Specifically, we offer 10 programs, 3 of which are postgraduate programs.
One of the new programs on offer at the university is the Child-Sensitive Social Policies Program, a postgraduate degree program supported by UNICEF that has found takers in social scientists and employees in organizations dealing with children. Students come from a cross-section of society with one common goal of safeguarding the life of a girl and boy child, now threatened with various forms of abuse, even perpetrated by those closest to them.
The Child-Sensitive Social Policies Program is a postgrad diploma program, which is really a joint venture between the Women's University and UNICEF Zimbabwe, which is supporting this program. This program seeks to produce a steady supply of child rights experts.
Sound corporate governance has earned respect for the university by government the community and non-governmental organizations, who in return are now supporting the university in its endeavors.
Women's University is a private university. What do I mean by that? It's not sponsored by government. It's not even religious based. What it means then is our major source of finance is student fees. And that's the greatest challenge, because there is not much we can do using student fees alone in terms of putting up infrastructure at our Marondera campus. So we need the corporate world to come in to assist Women's University in the mobilization of fees so that we build our university in Marondera. We then want to come up with the scholarship schemes for these disadvantaged women. Currently we have the Joshua Nkomo scholarships that are taking about 30 students per annum. We also have the ACBF scholarships, African Capacity Building Foundation, and we also have the Securico scholarship. We also have the Zwirisin scholarships. But when you look at the student population, this is just a drop in the ocean as well.
Cognizant of the land reform program that ushered in thousands of new farmers without much knowledge in agriculture, the Women's University in Africa took it upon themselves to establish the Department of Agriculture to teach both the old and new farmers the best practices in utilizing land, earn good harvests for themselves, as well as feeding the nation.
I joined the Women's University in Africa in 2009, and ever since I have seen women rising to leadership position, it has changed my perception of competence in terms of leadership. We look at human beings as human beings and not as males, as females, looking at people along the gender divide. We look at people as people, and the leadership is not ascribed to gender, it is ascribed to human beings. So it has really changed my perception of how people should interact.
Moving with time and in acknowledging the fast-changing world of ICT, the university set up the Entrepreneurial Development and ICT Department so that they do not lag behind. The Dean of the faculty says they have expanded the microdynamic networks on all Harare institutions. The department is also in the process of implementing e-learning networks so that students can access their lectures through the internet.
This is the Faculty of Management in Entrepreneurial Development Studies and Information Technology. So we have various degree programs and diploma programs and one master's degree program at the moment. We have got some other partners whom we have partnered with in terms of degree programs or diploma programs. For example, the Air Force of Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwe Prison and Correctional Services. So what they actually do is they have set up lecture rooms at their places. So what we actually do is to send lecturers to go and do the lecturing there. So at least that helps in terms of lecture room space.
Firstly, we are looking at improving the quality issues in terms of service delivery to our clients, that is mainly our students. We have got several facilities in place to make sure that we give students service at the highest quality through use of ICT. Our main thrust is implementation of e-learning, which will see the students accessing learning resources, reaching to their lecturers through ICT. We are also looking at controlling, or with the increased use of internet, there's a lot of plagiarism cases. So the university, through the ICT department, has invested in an anti-plagiarism software that will monitor and make sure that our students are producing original work and thereby improving the quality of students that we produce.
With good friends, life becomes easy. Appreciating the role played by the Women's University in Africa in promoting education and empowering women in particular, the Africa Capacity Building Foundation, ACBF, decided not to be left behind in this worthy cause.
Now, the first phase of the ACBF project started in August 2007, and then it went up to 2012. And after that, the implementation of that first phase, a lot of challenges which have been facing WUA had been addressed. Library space, for instance, we only had space for 40 students. It was increased to over 200. Students are now able to save or to access the library sitting around the university, owing to the ICT, particularly the wireless connectivity, which has been established. The university no longer suffers from blackouts because ACBF installed a 40 kVA generator, which enabled the university to continue with its activities without interruption. And we also had a bus. You know, during 2007-2008, many institutions faced challenges to the extent that workers could not afford to go to work. But through this bus, which we got from ACBF, workers were able to go to work and come back. And the PhD training, we had, in the first instance, we had 10 PhD slots and staff at WUA registered. In the second phase, we also got a second phase with 3 million, which was more than the first phase. And in this phase, ACBF came on board to support WUA's strategic plan, 2012 to 2015.
My name is Tatena Mareta, the Student Union Council President for Women's University in Africa. I decided to start with Women's University because it is a friendly university in which it is quite flexible in that you can actually be able to do your schooling at the same time doing your work. So I decided to come to Women's University because I understand they are quite good at that, at making sure that at least they can fit you in within your tight schedule that you would have had as an individual.
I chose Women's University in Africa because of its reputable lecturers, and also because Women's University is a university that aims at giving women an opportunity to educate themselves and also to empower them to make informed decisions in everything that they do.
I am studying environmental management with Women's University. It falls under the Faculty of Agriculture, so our campus is in Marondera. I have really enjoyed it. I'm a first-year student, and Women's University has been a very new, fun learning experience.
I chose to study at WUA because it was convenient for me, because the starting times I go to work and then after work then I can come to school.
My name is Melania Chiponda and I'm with Women's University in Africa. I studied sociology and currently I am doing Masters in Development Studies. I chose to come to Women's University because they have programs, facilities that are tailor-made for women, and also that it is a university for women. I actually love very much their mission that they want to reduce the gap between the inequalities, to address the gender disparities between men and women.
The nature of my work, that is, I am in the Department of Social Services doing child protection issues and social protection issues. And when I saw this program being advertised, I saw that it was the program, it would enhance the way that I do my work.
Studying at WUA has helped me in my career, particularly with my day-to-day work with Japan International Cooperation Agency, where I'm a programs officer. We work very closely with government and NGO partners, and most of the work that we do has something to do with children or its development work. And these are topical issues, for example, water and sanitation, children. And
Testimonies from those who chose Women's University in Africa. They learned and are ready to put the acquired knowledge to good use. Yes, WUA, the gateway for women emancipation. Women's University in Africa, addressing gender disparity and fostering equity in university education. Educate a woman, empower a nation.